At least one member of the European Parliament has been caught selling Europe's sovereignty to Qatar. Before I dive straight into this story, let me ask you a question. What is the image of the European Parliament in your head? I'm guessing a holier-than-thou body, picking all the right battles, legislating on all the woke matters, and lecturing the world on how to conduct itself. Tonight, I will bring you a tale of the truth beneath the surface, the truth beneath the smiles and the sermons. Meet Eva Kaili. She is one of the vice presidents of the European Parliament. Kaili is from Greece. But if you recently heard her speak at the Parliament, you would mistake her for an envoy of Qatar. Listen to this, and you will know what I'm talking about.
Today, the World Cup in Qatar is a proof, actually, of how sports diplomacy can achieve a historical transformation of a country, with reforms that inspired the Arab world. ILO said that Qatar is a front-runner in labor rights, abolishing kafala, introducing minimum wage, despite the challenges that even European companies are denying to enforce these laws. They committed to a vision by choice, and they opened to the world. Still, some here are calling to discriminate them. They bully them, and they accuse everyone that talks to them or engages of corruption. But still, they take their gas. Still, they have their companies profiting billions there.
Well, that's a great sales pitch, is it not? Why do you think a member of the European Parliament was so passionately defending Qatar? Well, because she was being paid for it. Kaili was working for Qatar. She was lobbying for Qatar. This vice president of the EU Parliament was taking money from Qatar to influence European decisions in favor of Qatar. If I had to put this in one sentence, Kaili was selling Europe's sovereignty to Qatar. And it's called corruption. It is called abuse of office. Since when has Kaili been talking in Qatar's favor, has been on Qatar's payroll? We know she has had a seat in the European Parliament since 2014. In fact, she has been the chair of the Future of Science and Technology panel ever since. Kaili has also been recognized as one of the most influential MEPs as per the Digital Influence Index. Now, we know who she was influencing on behalf of, not the people who voted her to office, but Qatar, a country that regularly sent Kaili paychecks and gifts. And how much money am I talking about? Prosecutors in Brussels found over $631,000 hidden in some 16 houses. They charged a total of 4 people. The European Union Parliament Vice President was one of them, probably the most influential of them all. Remember, Kaili had immense power, courtesy her position. She was a member of the Parliament's bureau. She was tasked with taking administrative decisions, staffing decisions, taking calls on organizational matters. She was also responsible for drawing up the EU Parliament's budget, but it seems that Kaili leveraged her position to strike deals with Qatar, to lobby for Qatar. Recently, the EU Parliament was voting on a resolution involving Qatar. Kaili raised eyebrows with her passionate defense of the Gulf nation. Some parliamentarians sensed foul play.
When we voted on the Qatar resolution in the last plenary week, there were already a lot of questions why some MEPs, for example, were tabling certain amendments, how the voting behavior of some MEPs was, also the speeches that were given. I mean, most notably the speech of Eva Kaili, who defended Qatar very vigorously. And I think this will have to be clarified, because obviously it's an absolutely unacceptable situation that members of a parliament take money and then consequently take certain political stances.
Notice this MEP is speaking in plurals, members raising eyebrows with their voting behavior. This is not an individual problem. This is an institutional problem. For all you know, Kaili is just one of the many MEPs who are sold out. For all you know, this vice president thought that she too will get away with selling influence, selling sovereignty. Was Kaili encouraged by the immunity offered to other members who too had sold their votes to some or the other wealthy country? Well, these are difficult questions that the EU Parliament will have to answer. Remember, this is a body that has lectured the world on foreign interference, criticized Russia on foreign interference. Look at this document. As recently as March this year, lawmakers of this very parliament were calling for sanctions against countries meddling in European affairs. The document presented read, and I'm quoting, "Foreign interference constitutes a serious violation of the universal values and principles on which the Union is founded, such as human dignity, freedom, equality, solidarity, respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms, democracy, and the rule of law. Foreign interference is a pattern of behavior that threatens or negatively impacts values, democratic procedures, political processes, the security of states and citizens, and the capacity to cope with exceptional situations, whereas such interference is manipulative in character and conducted and financed in an intentional and coordinated manner." Just look at the irony of it all. The Parliament's very own Vice President has now been locked up. With what face was this body lecturing the world and delivering sermons when its own members are so corrupt? And with what face are European countries and football teams criticizing Qatar when its own MEPs are taking money to lobby for the Gulf country and write off its human rights records? Also, since we are talking about ironies, look at the European Parliament's website. It boasts of supporting the fight for democracy. It talks about fighting for free speech and fair election across the world. Such a rich agenda for a body whose own internal votes are rigged, where speeches are up for sale and election results can be bought in exchange of gifts. Back to my question, with what face does the EU Parliament deliver those sermons? On what basis does it project itself as the chief human rights defender? Because back home, its MEPs seem to have no problem doing business with human rights violators. Listen to what else the EU Parliament's Vice President had to say about Qatar.
They are a new generation of intelligent, high-educated people. They helped us to reduce the tension with Turkey. They helped us with Afghanistan to save activists, children, women. They helped us, and they are peace negotiators. They are good neighbors and partners. We can help each other to overcome the shortcomings. They achieved the impossible already. Thank you.
Kaili's case has put on display the levels of corruption in the EU Parliament, hidden beneath those smiles and sermons. And for all you know, Kaili's case has just scratched the surface. Today, the European Parliament's credibility hangs by a thin thread. And it's a wake-up call to all European countries to look within, focus on cementing the fault lines at home before they can lecture the world on what is wrong and what's not. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.